Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Amazing love, now flowing down from hands and feet that were nailed to a tree. His grace flows down, it covers me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Amazing love, now flowing down from hands and feet that were nailed to a tree. As grace flows down, it covers me. 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 Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Amazing love, now flowing down from hands and feet that were nailed to a tree. His grace flows down, it covers me. It covers me. It covers me. It covers me. It covers me.
Thanks, guys.
Because they kick along that stuff.
Hold on now. Can you hear me? Should be coming through. Testing. Hello. There we go. All right. Hello. You guys win? No. Yes and no. Was there both games? Both games. And the girls didn't win. Can I set this here? And the girls didn't win and the guys did, or vice versa? Yeah. I'm sorry. So before I get started with what I want to talk to you guys about tonight, because it's changed completely, do you have any questions did everybody here get a chance to hear me today or no? Yes? Yes. Do you have any questions from today about anything that I talked about? Any of you that was in the second group, any questions? Okay. So that's a no. I'm going to give you one little piece of what I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to go into something else. And I'm sitting on this side because I'm a former coach and athlete, and I tend to sway towards that because, and I want you to know that this is just as important for you guys as well. So, I'm going to talk to you real quick about what it means to be a part of things. What they have, our girls in the back, athletes too, so all of your athletes over here. So what they have is association. They have community. And it makes them a little different, right? Because they kind of run around in a circle. They're learning a lot from that. They're learning about success, how to communicate, how to do those things. It is very, very important for you guys. Are you involved in any school activities whatsoever? Okay. So it's very important to get involved. And here's why. So I talked to a group of kids today about failure. You need to fail at things to be successful. You need to be involved in things to be successful. We live in a world right now that we're kind of in our houses because of COVID and what it did to you guys, and we're kind of introverted. I think COVID turned a lot of extroverts into introvertedness. I'm going to suggest to you don't have to be in sports. Please don't think that's what I'm saying. Get involved because of the things you'll learn from it about yourself. It's very, very important. That's what's happening to them. They're learning about themselves. They're learning what they're made of. They're learning what's going on inside of them. And so none of my kids are athletes. My oldest was. She broke her ankle, never played again. Graduated from high school. But my kids are in band, choir. They're in, one of them's going to go into theater, just stuff. And I'm always asking them, what'd you learn? What'd you learn about yourself? I don't even care about, I go to band and I'm scrolling. Because I don't know how to read music. I can't understand it. I'm so impressed with people that can play a guitar and sing at the same time. It's absolutely amazing because this brain does not work like that. My son brought home some, he's just starting. He wants to play the violin, so he brought home, what do you call it with the notes on it? What do you read? Sheets of music. And so I grabbed it. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, it's music. And I just start playing. I'm like, dot, 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 dee, dee. I'm just not inclined for that. I don't get it. So I lost my way and went down the alley on that one. But get involved in something, guys. It's very, very important. Get involved in community because it lifts you up. It changes you. It teaches you about yourself. When I go and I talk to athletes, I say, here's what's more important than the sport. Who are you? What type of human being are you? Do you know who you are? Do you work hard? Or on a scale of 1 to 3, 3 being just getting by, 2 being doing enough, 3 being all in. Are you that type of person? Because if you figure that out in sports, you can grow. You can grow into the next level. If you're procrastinating, you can grow into the next level because you have that, right? If you figure that out in anything else you're doing in school, you're learning about yourself, right? The message today to you guys is, who are you? What are you about? What do you love? What do you enjoy? How do you find that out if you're not involved in enough things? I'm not telling you to go out and jump and everything, but I'm telling you that to go find something that you enjoy, you don't have to love it, but understand why you're doing it. And I'm telling you guys that too. Understand why you're playing these 2 sports. You're finding out how good you are. I'm going to share this story, and I'll move on to what I really want to share. So a story that I love, there's this guy named Hernando Cortez, back in 5,000 whatever, old, long time ago. Takes, 10 years across the ocean. So this guy heard about this island. And in this island, it was full of gold and riches. Anybody ever heard this story before? Full of gold and riches, money everywhere. And he wanted that money. This was back in the day where you just go take what you want. He wanted that money, so he put together a team, a group of leaders, and those leaders went out and got the team, and they put the team together. And he made them a promise. He sold all of the riches and gold, and we're going to go to this island, guys, and we're going to take this island. We're going to bring back all of that to our families, and we're going to live, and we're going to be wealthy, and we're going to just live the dream, whatever that dream was back then. So they needed ships. They got, 10, 15 ships, put enough men on each ship, and they started the journey. Well, like I said, it took months to cross the oceans back then. So they're crossing the oceans, and of course, if you've read anything about history, somebody's always going to die. Somebody's always going to get sick. Things are happening. Ships are going to wreck in the bad seas. So that's going on, and they come to the captain, Hernando, and they're like, it ain't good, man. We got people that don't want to do this anymore. We might have a mutiny taking place here. They just don't want to do it. And he's like, just talk to him. Keep selling the dream, selling the story, selling the dream, selling the story. And so they did, but he had to come up with something. He knew that by the time they were going to get there, that they weren't going to be able to fight. He knew that he had to figure something out. So he devised a plan. They get to the island. He pulls all of his captains up and he said, hey, listen, very first night at dark, we're going to set the tents up this way, and I'm going to call all the guys out, and I'm going to have my back. So if the ocean is there, I've got my back to the land, and everybody's watching me. And he said, as soon as the sun goes down, you guys get in the boats, and I want you to go out, and I want you to burn those boats. I want you to burn the boats. And they looked at him, of course, like he was flipping crazy. Burn the boats. He's like, yeah, I'll explain it to you. I need you to go burn those boats, because if you don't, we're all going to die here. Or we're not going to get that gold. He was driven. He was the one that was driven, and he had to figure out how to drive the rest of the players. So they get out there. It's night. They call all the men up. They're talking just like this. And he says, guys, we're in trouble. We're in a very, very bad way. We're sick. Some of us didn't make it. Some of us want to go home. We're weak-minded. We can't win and take this gold home. He was driven. He was the leader. And he said, so here's what I did. I sent your captains out, and they're burning the boats. They turned around. All the ships are on fire. The men, of course, lost their ever-loving minds, right? They're just, what are we going to do? And the captain says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to die here, or we're going to go, and you guys are going to find out what you're made of. And we're going to take over this island, and we're going to take this money. It's kind of a brutal story, but it's a great point. And we're going to take this money, and we're going to bring it back to our families, and we're going to live a great life. He burned the boats. In sports, and anything that you do, you need to burn the boats. And right now at your age it's easy because you don't have anything to lose. You don't have a house to lose. You don't have bills to lose. You don't have kids to take care of. You need to burn your boats to figure out what it is that you want to do. And of course the story ended well. Guess what? They went and took over the island. I'm going to leave all the violent stuff out. And they all went home rich in those guys' boats. They burned the boats. When you're in sports, so when I'm talking to athletes, when I'm talking to my children about band, and I'm talking to my daughter about acting, are you burning your boats? What does it mean to burn the boats? Are you finding out how hard you're willing to work for something? Are you finding out what you're made of? Are you finding out what your spirit and your soul is telling you? Because if you figure that out at your age and you work on the things that aren't right, procrastination, lying, laziness, stuff we hear from our parents, they ain't lying to you. But it hurts to know it. But if you know the truth about yourself and you say, I'm going to work on this. I got a sport. How good am I? When I talk, so the kid that's going to Mizzou, I can see it all over him. But typically when a kid tells me where they're going to college, I said, in a sport. So what's your name? Preston. Preston? Preston, do you love baseball?
Yeah.
Do you love baseball?
Yes.
How much do you love baseball?
Do it again if I could.
What are you going to do tonight? Even though you played a game, are you going to do anything else about baseball tonight?
I'm going to rest my arms so I can get ready for tomorrow.
What else are you going to do?
Get a game plan for tomorrow. Look at my mentality.
You're not supposed to give me all that information, Preston. Most of the times people will say, I'm a rest. You got it. You have to think about that game during the game, after the game, before the game, when the season is over and you're waiting for it to come back. And if you're not serious. And you don't love it, but you told me you do. That's how we have to think about life. Your life. Not your siblings, not your parents, not your friends. Your life. What did I talk about today? What do you guys want? What is life telling you that you should have versus what you want? That's why I'm saying get involved in something so you find out about yourself. It is so important to find out about you and what you're made of. I could sit with each one of you and ask you a couple of questions and tell you where you're going to be in 5 years. And if you don't have a plan, it's not good. If you don't know what you're made of, it's not good. Burn your boats. It's the best time to do it in high school. You ain't got nothing to lose. You go all out and you fail. Who cares? We learn from failures and we move forward. We learn from failures so we can move forward. Don't keep failing and just looking back and be like, no, learn from it. You're pitching. All of the wrong pitches you made today, you should be processing tonight. If you don't have film, you should be calling them back up in your head. Every bad step, every bad movement, it should be fixed so it doesn't happen tomorrow. That's burning the boats. That's greatness. And here's what happens. So in Macomb, we got a group of boys called the 101 Boys. If any of you have been to Western, in the south end of the field, there's a little parking lot, they call it the Pit. There's a hill going up to the Union. So every summer I take my boys and we run that. At the most, a group would get 60 times by the end of the summer because it was hard. And I had one group of kids led by Danny Roosh and a couple other boys. And they said, we're about to set this. I pushed them into it. They didn't know it. But we're about to set this record so high, ain't nobody going to touch it. Them boys ran that hill 101 times. Puking, crawling, some wanting to quit with teammates lifting them up. And it was the most amazing thing. And it used to come up on my Facebook feed and it stopped and I'd share it and they'd all shout out that we're still connected. It was the most amazing thing. So Danny called me. I hope none of you guys know Danny. Danny called me 5 or 6 years ago. Lost his job, lost his business, drunken alcoholic, crying. And I said, Danny, it happens to everybody. Something bad happens to everybody. And I reminded him what he was made of because I got to see it as his coach, right? I knew what Danny had inside of him. He just needed to be reminded of that because we brought that out in high school. And I said, stop all of that. You got to rebuild, and you're strong enough to do it. Because he knew he was. He just needed to be reminded. He just needed to remember what he was made of. We all go through crappy things in our lives. We all do. You guys heard my story. I didn't even share half of it with you. Crappy things. But if you can remember, even journal and write down what you're made of, what do you know about yourself, what are you good at, what are you strong at, that's how we get through our lives. That's how I got through my life. So I challenge you guys, and you, because I've given you a little bit too, I challenge you guys, the rest of your time in school, this 2 weeks left or whatever is left, think about what you can do to make yourself better. Because don't you want to be the best you? Yes? Don't we want to be the best us? Because sports will be over, whether it's at the end of high school, at the end of college, and then life starts. We want to be the best us. And if you wait too late, remember what I told you is waiting for you guys out there. You remember what I said? What is it? What was that 3-letter word? That funky little nasty 3-letter word? Job. You don't want no job. You do not want a job. You want a career, whatever it may be. You want a career so you're happy. You're peaceful. Your mind can rest when you go to sleep. And it doesn't have to be a college degree or something like that. It's got to be what you want that fills your spirit. There are hundreds, a couple of thousand farmers in a 100-mile radius They're farmers. They only graduated high school and they went out on the farm and they love it. That's what you want. You want that love. And as I said, and it's not knocking anybody's parents, you got to earn a living. That's why those jobs are out there, because they didn't do what I'm trying to share here, or listen to their parents or listen to the teachers. Casey's is always hiring. Walmart is always hiring. And if you find yourself there, that's okay, but remember, your job is to go higher. Your job is to manage. Your job is to create enough income to live a comfortable life. I'm planting a seed. Look at the people working at those places and look in their eyes. Look at their eyes. You ever seen the story about the caged lion or the orcas down in Orlando? You know what's wrong with the orcas down in Orlando? With the fin that should be like this, but it's like this? It's because they've been caged. They've been trapped. They're supposed to be free. We're supposed to be free. We're supposed to enjoy our lives. But when you get caged, I keep going back to Casey's because it's close. I'm not knocking it. Please don't think I am. But when you get caged in that, this is life. Life is always supposed to be going up. Always. We have all those bumps in the road, but it's supposed to be going up. So I'll finish with this by saying, burn your boats. Go find something. Okay? Get better at it. Each one of you, get better at it. Leave no stone unturned. If you really love doing what you do it for more than fun, because football was a point. It wasn't fun. Only the games was fun. I hated practice. Only the games was fun. I wish somebody had told me this. I played till I was 32, that's fine. Injuries stopped me, but I would have been better. I had a teammate named Rodney Harrison. He's going to eventually go into the Hall of Fame. The NFL, he's already in the Ring of Honor for the Colts. Teammate. Dude did some weird stuff. We'd go to lunch, and this is back in the day before all the great supplements. This dude would come in eating raw baby food out of a bottle. We had 3-a-days back then. Between every practice, he'd go and sleep in that time. We'd stay up late when we get done at the end of the night, play cards and drink soda like idiots and stay up all night, and he went to sleep. And I'd ask him about that. He's like, man, I need 12 hours. I never asked him about the baby food, but I realized what it was. When we showed up to run, he was already there running and stayed after us. So the difference between Rodney and I, Rodney had a 14-year career as a multimillionaire and going into the Hall of Fame and on TV and all of that stuff, because he burned his boats. But I believe somebody taught him that. There was no way he figured out all of that on his own. You get the help that you need for those things. So that's what I'll leave with that. Now I want to talk about this building. I want to talk about church. Parents, stay with me on this about where I'm headed. What was that? Church is corny, isn't it? It's a little weird. It's a little goofy to young people. It was rarely goofy to me. The music was goofy. It didn't fit. The smaller the church, the more it doesn't fit for people. What society has done with church and what some Christians has done, let's just be honest, it doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right. You like young music that makes you feel good and make you want to dance and do all of those things. We get it. We were there. Everybody in here was there. And if you weren't, you're an amazing human being. But I believe that we all went through it. I call it our dumb 20s, truthfully. I'm going to go off these notes so I make sure I get everything that I wrote down and I want to talk. Church, it's okay that it feels that way to you guys. What's not okay is some adults doesn't get that they went through it as well. And I'm not saying you guys. But what's not okay is that they don't get it. And so you don't feel like you fit. How do you use your religion when you're young? Anybody tell me? How do you use your faith when you're young? And it's different. It's different between your age, 20 and 30, 45, and you know that you might be halfway there or over halfway there to that long ride. It's different. For me, church entered my life at the Crossing. When the Crossing came to town, I think the Crossing is really what did. I was working at the Forum. I used to manage the bounce at the Forum, all the crew there. So I was living in the Sin Den, working in the Sin Den, bouncing, coaching, training, energy drink business, all of that stuff. But I was there in the middle of it. And my wife kept saying, let's go to church. I was like, I ain't going to church where all of them sinners at. People go to church to free themselves of sin on Sunday and sin all week and come back. It was about the dumbest thing I could have ever been thinking. I heard somebody else say it, I'm sure, and that's what I ran with for years. The biggest sinners go to church. And one day somebody said, why would you let somebody else that you have an opinion about keep you from your connection with Christ? That's not, I didn't say that verbatim, but he said, it's just plain stupid that you would let your opinion of someone else keep you from a relationship with Christ. That's the way he said it. And it stuck with me, maybe for 2 years. I just remembered it. I didn't get up and go to church after that. And so one day I walked into the Crossing, and probably the first 2 or 3 years I slept, because I had just left the Forum from closing it at 5 a.m. in the morning, and church was at like 9. I slept. I slept over, if it was the stage, I slept over here in the second row. I kept my same seat, and if somebody was there, I'd ask them to move. And I slept for 3 years. First child was born. I looked down, she's in the cradle, I'd rock her and go back to sleep. And I can't remember the sermon that woke me up, and I remember standing up and saying, if you don't stand up, you're not going to move forward. And I would stand against the wall, and people are shy to do that. And I'm like, if I sit in that seat, I'm going to be asleep. This music and this man going to put me to sleep. So I stood up there, and I would listen, and I'd go out, and I'd listen, and I'd go out, and it just began to change me. And so I'm in my, how long has the Crossing been here? Harley was born, I'm maybe 32, but I was 32 with the mindset that you guys, some of you guys have about Christianity. So 32 with the young, non-Christian mindset about this mumbo-jumbo crap that I thought it was. And I can't relate. Even though the Crossing had a band and the guy could sing and all that, I couldn't relate to it. So it worked on me and worked on me. And ultimately, I realized that I started paying attention to the stories. It also comes down to hearing a message that speaks to you as well. Jerry, which is the lead pastor at the Crossing, well, he in Clayton now, but Jerry spoke to me because I'm an athlete and I need to be spoken to like an athlete. And that's how he talked. And listen, if it had been anybody else, I wouldn't have listened. And I started learning, and I started listening, and I started paying attention. And the first thing that changed in my life, I remember I used to go to the Jackson Street pub every Monday night to drink beer with my friend Josh, smoke a cigar, and watch the game. And I remember one night saying, why am I not home with my wife and my child? And I started changing. I didn't know what it was. I really didn't. I was just like, I'm getting older, ain't nothing wrong. So I remember stopping, and I lost my best friend because he didn't get it. And I just stayed with church. I didn't read the Bible. I listened to the sermons. I stayed with church. I found a good radio station. Air One and K-Love is what I like to listen to because it was more upbeat for me. Now, just think about it. When you guys hear music, I'll tell you what, did they leave that was singing? Are they gone? That girl can sing. She really can, compared to I go to a big church, we need to talk to you. But I had to find music that worked for me. I couldn't listen to the old hymns and hers and theys and ours and all that stuff, right? Y'all can't either. That's why I'm just trying to be real with you. At your age. How do you use it when you're young? I didn't have a dad. You guys heard my story. Really cruddy man, human being. I had a mom, but my mom is literally broken mentally. She doesn't know what love means, what it is. She didn't know how to be a mom to her children, and now her kids, other than me, are all living in turmoil because of it. So I didn't have the roots that hopefully you guys are getting from your parents. I didn't have it. I didn't have the upbringing. I didn't have anybody to correct me and check me. I believe that it is our jobs to just introduce you to Jesus. It is our jobs to just introduce you to Jesus. And who is this guy named Jesus? Jesus walked the earth 2,000 and something years ago. He died for our sins. What the heck does that mean? All human beings are born in sin, and because of that, we struggle through life, and we could potentially go to hell. I'm not going to go down to what does hell mean, but that's what it means. Jesus died for you, for your sins, for life after this. Y'all can't wrap your minds around that. It means absolutely nothing to most of you because you're young and you're energetic and you got the whole world in front of you. It really just doesn't mean much to most young kids. I get it. It really doesn't mean much to my children. I came in here and prayed over my 17, soon to be 18-year-old senior graduating, that I've done a job to just introduce him to her because she is very, very, what is it if you're right-handed, you're left? She's very right-brained. She reads a whole lot of SHIP on social media. And she challenges a lot of it. And I keep telling her, honey, stop judging your relationship with Christ with anybody else, including me, including your mom. Your relationship with Christ at your age is to study Him, and you guys can handle this however you want, but this is just my opinion, to study Him in the New Testament right now at your age. They are, the Bible to me, the Bible, it's basic rules for living while you're out here on earth is the way I look at it in your youth. There's just rules in there, guys. There's rules that teach you how to just be a good human being. And as I'm reading through those rules, can somebody, I don't have the memory for it. Where in the Bible does it talk about what love is? Anybody remember that? What is it? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to cry here. So 1 Corinthians what? I'm going to cry, so just bear with me. Bear with me. 1 Corinthians 13. I should have that highlighted. There we go. I got it. 13:4. Listen to this. This was a defining moment for me because I didn't know what it was. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, and always hopes, and always perseveres. And that broke me down to my knees because I had no idea what love meant before this. That's when I began to understand what Jesus was doing for me. I had no dad. I had no mom. I told my mom that I loved her before she ever said it to me. I just decided one day I'm going to corner her. And I did, and she didn't even know how to respond to it. And then she starts saying it, but I can see in her eyes that she had no idea what it meant. Because even at that time, I didn't. And I read this, and it blew my mind. So let me read it. Love is patient. What does that mean? It teaches you to be patient with people. Right? Because some of us are born with a button that says, nope, I ain't patient, I don't care. This teaches you to be patient with people. Love is kind. I kill people with kindness versus how I could. I'm a huge, intimidating man. I know that. I have to walk around like this sometimes because people see me coming and they're like, oh, Lord. And I have to be kind. I had to learn to be kind. I kind of was born with that part. It does not envy. What does that mean? Stop wanting don't envy what other people have. Work on what you are supposed to get in this life. Envy and jealousy, kind of the same. Don't be envious of other people because it can mess with your spirit, being envious of other people. If somebody's a better athlete than you, you become your best athlete. Don't try and be like her. Don't try and be like somebody else. Become your best athlete. It does not boast. Don't brag. I've seen too many people out there bragging about the crap that they have. It is not proud. I struggle with that one. Some people see it. Some people see you guys as arrogant. They do. They see us arrogant. Why? Because most athletes walk around like this. You can see it. You can see how they walk. It's the muscle. They've been training. It's a cocky, arrogant walk. They don't mean to do it. It's just how they're built. And so people see you as arrogant and cocky, and what they don't realize is you worked for that walk. You trained for that walk. You trained for that confidence. So I struggle with that one because I've had people say, well, you think you're all that in a bag of chips. And I said, I am because I work for it. I am because I work for it. But just be careful with that one. Don't be too proud. Be excited about what you do, proud of yourself, but just make sure you're not throwing an image out there when you could be helping people along your route. It does not dishonor people. We know what that means. I talked about the bullying and the choice of words. It is not self-seeking. There's a saying, if you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get everything that you need in life. If you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get everything that you need. I live by that. There's a guy by the name of Zig Ziglar. He's not easily angered. I struggle with that one. And I have to focus on that one because people piss me off. People say stupid things, right? We're humans. People say stupid things. And I have to bite this tongue off till it bleeds sometimes because I just want to go up and slap them. This is what keeps me grounded. The New Testament, Jesus is what keeps me grounded. I want to get finished through this. It keeps no records of wrongs. That is hard. That's hard in a marriage. You guys will get that later on. It keeps no record of wrong. Meaning, learn to, if somebody's wronged you and they've asked for forgiveness, there's two ways to look at this. They've asked for forgiveness and you've forgiven them, you've got to learn how to let it go. And if they never ask for forgiveness, you got to learn how to let it go. Because otherwise, you're carrying around that weight. You're carrying around that weight and that burden. And they're not because they don't care. So learning how to let things go. Love does not delight in evil. That just means stay away from bad crap. I will tell you, bad crap and the wrong crowds is a recipe for Casey's. I'm trying to keep that simple, a little bit of humor, but I think you get it. Right? I think you get it. Bad things are going to do it. I'll give you an example, smoking in schools. People smoke, I get it. I used to smoke cigars, trying not to anymore. But there's, in your age, in the schools, and it's everywhere in America, guys. It ain't just here. It ain't just Macomb. It's every school I've been to, the vaping. That's a gateway. You guys know that, right? Vaping is a gateway if you don't have the right mind. And you'd have to talk to a counselor about that. Vaping is a gateway. Simple little drugs is a gateway to other things. If your mind is not in a good place, if your environment is not in a good place, it's not good. So all I can tell you with that is, understand that it's bad for you. What else? Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. Be truthful with yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about your parents. Don't worry about anybody else. Be honest with you about you. Every morning, here's the one thing for sure that everybody does in the morning. At some point in time, they look in the mirror. Talk to him or her. Be honest with him or her. Because nobody knows what's going on in your mind other than it says God does. That's it. Be honest with yourself and then the rest of it will take care of itself. Once I learned, guys, I was groomed to lie. I can't imagine to tell you where I'd be if it wasn't for football, and then if it wasn't for my relationship of it was football, my wife, and then Jesus. But what I really believe, it was Jesus before all of that, but I just have to put it in that order. The things I learned, I witnessed my mom with one of her boyfriends in the store stealing. They thought they were hiding it from me. Stealing. Putting stuff in his jacket. I remember seeing it as clear as day and thinking, what the heck is that? My mom's a pathological liar. I was groomed to lie. I was groomed to lie. I had 8 different stepfathers by the time I graduated high school. High school. And most of them weren't nice. I was groomed to be a piece of crap where I come from. I had one thing that pulled me out of it, and then I had one thing that has helped me clear it up, because it's all still here. Being called dumb and stupid by your parents every day for years on doesn't go away. It's in there. Lying doesn't go away. It's in there. My life changed when the word truth, a guy by the name of Jody Victor, he'd always say, my word is my worth, my worth is my word. My word is my worth, my worth is my word. And Jody's worth over $500 million. But his word's worth more than that. And it finally stuck, and it was like, dude, you tell the truth. You ain't never got to worry about what you say to anybody. You never, when you lie, you got to try and remember what that lie was. And it's never the same. And when that changed in my life, my whole world began to change. Truth is my foundation with Jesus. Make sure I hit it all before I'm done. Why do we need this thing called faith? In the New Testament, there are basic rules for you to live by that will help you. If your parents are giving them to you, that's great, but they ain't got them all. Finding a book and just picking pieces, or finding verses and picking pieces and just reading them. You don't have to spend hours reading the Bible. I didn't read it forever. I just listened to it. Because I wasn't a good reader. It actually made me become a better reader when I did spend the time. But I just listened to it, turn it off, and put on some Eminem. It was Jesus and it was Eminem. It was Jesus and it's still Jesus and Eminem. See what I'm getting? You guys think that I got to go to church and stop listening to this music. No, you don't. If you got Jesus in there, He'll take care of any crappy stuff that's coming through that music. But if you got crappy music in there alone, it's affecting you. That's a promise. It's affecting you in a negative way. I ain't being a parent. I ain't telling you to stop listening to it. I'm just talking to you about my journey with Christ and how it changed my life. I guarantee you none of you have lived the life that I've lived at your age, and you more than likely won't. When you get older, you'll begin to understand some other things about the Bible. I'm there. So in my health journey, I was told I had cancer in my lung. Parker's 15. 15 years ago, I was told I had lung cancer. I got this thing, all of us have had it. It's common here in the Midwest. I got this thing called histoplasmosis. And it's from birds or something like that. And it got in my lungs and my blood system and shut this lung down. So I go to the doctor, my wife and I with our 2 girls, and I'm walking in thinking, I just got a bad cold, and this goofball looks at me with my kids and family there. It's like, yeah, you got cancer. And just threw me for a loop. And at that time, God was not strong in my life. And let me tell you what happens, and some of you adults might be able to relate to this, when you get bad news like this. Your mind, if your mind is weak, your body breaks down. You've heard the story, people walk in the hospital with a flu and roll out dead. I got so sick from that information that it just broke me apart. And a couple of friends came and sat with me and talked to me and walked me through it. Come to find out, it was histoplasmosis, horrible medicine. But you'll take horrible medicine when you're told. He told me I only had maybe 6 months to live when he gave me this information. That'll blow your flipping mind. So I get through that. I'm trying to give you another one. kidney. I had 2 problems with this kidney. First time they fixed it, they said it'll be fine, and then January of 2020, I'm coming back from vacation, I start passing blood, I go to the hospital, they said, you got cancer in your kidney, and it's bad. And then March, the country shuts down, and the doctor stops seeing people. My kidney my kidney fell apart. I had 3 emergency trips to Iowa City, an hour ride, because it blocked up in there, and I eventually learned how to move it. I'm grossing you guys out so I can go to the bathroom. They took it out May 7th of 2020. And this is God for me. And this is later, but I got to share it with you. At no point during that journey of this pain was I ever afraid, because I understood where I was going. I remember one of my buddies saying, dude, why are you handling this so well? And I told him, I have no fear. But this will happen later in life. I just want you to remember this. This only happens to a certain amount, I don't know what the percentage is, of young kids. This will happen later in life, but I want you to remember why it would be great to have him in your life. I had the strength to know that no matter what happened, I was going to be fine. So my wife, that was at the time people couldn't even go in the hospital. She dropped me off at the door. I walked into the hospital. I had my clothes off on that bed, passed out at 11 o'clock. I wake up that night, and all I could think about, mindset, find out what you're made of and who you are. I said to myself, I'm leaving this hospital tomorrow. I didn't sleep. All I did was sit there and think, I'm healing myself good enough to leave. I got to leave. It's a mindset. What you're made of. That kid from all of this crap, without figuring out what he was made of, I wouldn't have walked out of that hospital the next day. I would have fallen apart from just the pain that this thing gives. And I go back and said, God gave me the strength and the energy and the power to know that even if I leave my wife, that I don't ever want to leave, and our children before they're gone, that He's got them. That I've done my job, if it's that point. That's deeper, that's adult stuff, but God can help each one of you with simple little messages about your life. Just go read that love part. Some of you may not know what love really is because your parents didn't know. That could lead you down a whole nother journey of just finding little messages about life. That's all the Bible is. And your faith will grow, and your faith will get stronger, and then you'll understand that other side of it. Okay, parents, I'll leave you with this one. I spoke at a school over near Champaign a month ago. They went on spring break. 2 boys went on spring break without their parents. Maybe some of you read about this. And they went to Colorado. 2 boys, being boys, found a sled and went down in a half pike. It shot them out onto ice and killed them both. Killed them both away from their parents. And I was due to speak that next week when they came, so they pushed me back a week. I just got to share this with you because there's a message here, parents. One of the boys' stuff came home, and he had handwritten scripture in it. He was a senior. That's the first peace of mind his parents got. The grandparents went through his stuff in their house, oh Lord, and found all kinds of written scripture. It was the sign that his parents needed to be able to breathe in that moment, to know where that kid was. There's somewhere in the Bible, it's called the something in between, where you guys go, when you're born to a certain age, there's no definitive age what it is of that we automatically go to heaven, but then it's like when you know the difference of right and wrong, it begins to change. Those boys knew the difference between right and wrong. At least one family knew where their son was, to give them a peace of mind. It is important to figure out, this is for parents, and I know you guys know, and there's parents that need to hear it. It's called empathy. It is important to understand how our children needs to receive this information versus how we think they need to receive it, how we were taught. It's different. None of you in this room were born with this. They all were. This is a parent. This is the world. And if we don't learn, and when I go and talk to parents, I'm just giving you bits and pieces of that. If we don't learn how they communicate, this place will disappear someday. We have to go meet them. We have to have empathy to understand. What's your name, buddy? Carter. How Carter sees this world, so I can introduce what I want to him as his dad and what I want to introduce to him about Christ. Not how I see it. That's where we've dropped the ball. It's how they see it. It's that important for you guys. Any questions for me? God will save your life in the darkest moments. He will. Some of you saw what I was dealing with today and I had to get up and go outside. I got this stupid thing called Meniere's. My ears ringing right now. I get dizzy and lightheaded and all kinds of crap. It sucks. But it doesn't matter. All right, guys, that's all I got. Any questions? Go be your best you. Go get involved in something. Everybody's not meant to be an athlete. You don't think that I want little Harvie II to play football? I do so bad, but I don't think he's going to. So he was wanting to be a violinist. Ooh, that's loud. He's wanting to be a violinist. And he came to me and he thought I was going to be like, nope. I was like, buddy, let's go get one. Because I'm still going to coach you to be your best at it. So go figure that out, okay? Get better. Get better. All right, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much.
Pizza, still, bags of pizza you can go take home. There's games, drinks, there's Bibles out there if anyone wants to take a Bible with them. Hang around for a while, then go home when you need to, when you're ready.
Can I get a picture with you guys up here? I'll sit down here at the bottom. You guys sit up here.